morning, dear students. This is your Sudha ma'am. Welcome to the fourth session of lesson 5, that is temperature and its measurement. In our previous session, we have learnt about properties of thermometric substances, how to create new markings on the thermometer, and about digital thermometer. In this session, we are going to learn about laboratory thermometer and 6 maximum and minimum thermometer. We know that clinical thermometer is used only for measuring body temperature. But what about the other objects? So, a laboratory thermometer is used to measure the temperature of objects in science laboratory. Let's know about laboratory thermometer. A laboratory thermometer is made up of a long glass tube having a thin bore in it. There is a glass bulb containing mercury which is joined at the lower end of the glass tube. The top end of the glass tube is sealed after removing air. As in clinical thermometer, the same thing here also. They remove the air and the other end of the glass tube was sealed. The whole length of the thermometer glass tube is marked or calibrated in degree Celsius. That means markings are made on the thermometer. The range of this thermometer is generally minus 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. There is a thin silvery thread of mercury in the narrow glass tube of the thermometer. The upper end of this mercury thread tells us the temperature of the object in which the thermometer bulb is placed. Same like clinical thermometer, the capillary tube is there and in that the mercury passes like a silver thread, and while noting the temperature, the upper end gives the temperature of the object. But here only the one thing, there is no kink in this laboratory thermometer. That is very important point. You have to be remember, no kink in the laboratory thermometer. Next, precautions in using the laboratory thermometer. The laboratory thermometer should be held vertical while measuring temperature. It should not be tilted. The reason because of kink. As kink is absent, we have to hold it straight. We should not tilt it. The thermometer bulb should be surrounded by all sides by the substance whose temperature is to be measured. The thermometer bulb should not touch the sides or bottom of the container in which the substance is taken. Read the thermometer while its bulb is still in touch with the substance whose temperature is being measured. Do not hold thermometer by its bulb. Handle the thermometer with care. It can break if it hit against any hard object. These are generally some precautions to be taken while using the laboratory thermometer. Can you guess this question? A laboratory thermometer cannot be used to measure human body temperature. Why? Simple reason. A laboratory thermometer cannot be used to measure human body temperature because as soon as we take out the bulb of the laboratory thermometer from our mouth, the level of mercury in its tube will start falling quickly. As there is no kink, the level of mercury starts falling down. This will give a wrong value of the body temperature. In clinical thermometer, we have kink which prevent the immediate falling of mercury. As there is no kink here, the mercury falls so quickly. That is why while taking readings by using this laboratory thermometer, we have to take the reading while its bulb is still in touch with the substance. Then only we will get the correct reading. Next, moving on to the similarities between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. Both are made up of glass and consist of long narrow glass tube. At one end, both of them have bulb. Bulbs of both the thermometers consist of mercury, and Celsius scale is present in both thermometers. In clinical thermometer, in addition to Celsius scale, Fahrenheit scale also present, but in both thermometers Celsius scale is present. These are few similarities between these two thermometers. Now moving on to the differences between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. In clinical thermometer, the temperature range is 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius, whereas in laboratory thermometer it is minus 10 degrees C to 110 degrees Celsius. Clinical thermometer is used to measure human body temperature, whereas laboratory thermometer is used to measure the temperature of objects in laboratory. Clinical thermometer has kink which prevents immediate backflow of mercury, whereas laboratory thermometer does not have a kink. These are some differences between them. Now moving on to the last topic of this lesson, that is 6 maximum and minimum thermometer. In 1780, a scientist called James Six invented this thermometer. It is used to know the maximum and minimum temperature during a day. Generally, this thermometer is used in meteorology departments. That means the study about the weather is called meteorology. They give the weather forecast every day. What is the temperature, maximum temperature recorded, minimum temperature recorded, like that. So every time it is difficult to take the temperature all through the day for them. So to get maximum and minimum temperatures, they use 6 thermometer because it gives the lowest and highest temperature along with the current temperature at that particular time. And coming to how it looks like and how to measure all these details. It consists of a U-shaped capillary tube with bulbs at both ends. It is a U-shaped capillary tube, U-shaped glass tube with 2 bulbs. Both the end it consists of bulbs. The bent of the U tube is filled with mercury, and one of the bulb is completely filled with alcohol, that is left side, and the other bulb is partly filled with alcohol, that is right side. So the bent is filled with mercury and left side it is completely filled with alcohol and right side it is partly filled with alcohol. The space in the bulbs partly filled with alcohol is originally vacuum. So the whatever the place, empty place is there, that is nothing but empty place or vacuum. The thermometric liquid is alcohol, whose expansion and contraction allow the change in temperature to be recorded. Here The thermometric liquid is alcohol. Its expansion or its contraction we consider and we take the temperature accordingly. Just above the mercury are two dumbbell shaped steel indices which are kept in place by tiny steel springs. Two indices, that index is singular and indices are plural. These two steel indices are there and they record the temperature. We have to take the recording against whatever the index is showing, that we have to record as the highest temperature or lowest temperature. The two indices are kept in their initial position by a horseshoe magnet. After note down the readings of maximum or minimum temperature, again we are setting the thermometer for another reading. Then these indices are brought to their original place by using a horseshoe magnet, and they have to place just above this mercury on both sides. Now coming to the maximum temperature in 6 thermometer recorded as follows. How the maximum temperature we have to take, or how the minimum temperature we have to take, let's know. Due to rise in temperature during the day, the alcohol in the completely filled bulb expanded and exerts pressure on the mercury. So the rise in temperature, that means during daytime, the alcohol in the completely filled bulb, that is left side, it expands and exerts pressure on mercury. So the mercury moves towards the partly filled bulb and pushes up index in the capillary close to the partly filled bulb. Thus, the index closer to the partly filled bulb records the maximum temperature. That means right side, wherever the index stops, that is the maximum temperature. It is under the partly filled bulb, and that is indicates, that index indicates the maximum temperature of that particular day. The minimum temperature in 6 thermometer recorded as follows. Due to fall in temperature during the night, the alcohol in the completely filled bulb, that is left side, contracts. The mercury moves towards the completely filled bulb and pushes up the index in the capillary close to the completely filled bulb. Thus, the index close to the completely filled bulb records the minimum temperature. So, the maximum temperature is recorded by the index of the partly filled bulb, which is situated at the right side, and the minimum temperature is recorded by the index of the completely filled bulb. And these indices are brought to their initial position. Their initial position is just above the mercury level, on both sides just above the mercury level, by a horseshoe magnet for the next maximum and minimum readings. In this way, the 6th thermometer works out. Let's have a glance on today's topics. Today we have learnt about laboratory thermometer and 6 maximum and minimum thermometer. With this, we have completed this lesson. Meet you in our next session. Take care of yourself.